हो हो
मग सार्वजनिकचं काय तुमच्या स्लाइड्स रिडिंगच आहे
घ्या ना, बसा तुम्ही
आता स्टार्ट करताना डायरेक्ट स्टार्ट
एक जण आला ना,
हे मीन्स जर फ्लेवर घ्यायला गेलं
एक जण आला आणि लगेच निघून गेला.
तर मग ते 143
येतात मग, वेळेवर येतात.
आणि हे प्ले ओव्हर एन्हान्स केलं हां ते कसं राहू द्या
So
Good afternoon, students. Are you able to hear me? Hello. Are you able to hear me? Anyone?
But the voice is cutting, ma'am.
So I think we will start with the lecture because we already past 12. So now in the last lecture we have seen something about the structure of DNA and the different rules that DNA follows. So when the organization of DNA is a long question, this question should be covered under following heading. One is primary, secondary, tertiary structure of DNA. Then second part that you should cover is about the supercoiling of DNA. Third point, nucleoproteins. And fourth point that you should write is about junk DNA. So these all points you should cover now, even though I have written it in very short thing, that is primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary structure of DNA, all these things. These things should be elaborated either by diagram or by few lines. For example, primary structure is a single stranded DNA with polynucleotides, how these nucleotides are joined together, which type of bond is there, like this. Double helix is the double stranded DNA with a right handed helix, and all those things you should read. In tertiary structure, you have supercoiling of the double helix and quaternaries with the histone. So this is the first thing that you should read. Hello. This is the first thing that you should write about the organization of DNA. The second point is elaborate about the supercoiling of DNA, how this supercoiling is done, and the diagram, if possible, regarding the supercoiling of DNA. That is, DNA is coiled to form double helix, and this coiling of the axis upon itself is nothing but the supercoiling. Then about the nucleoprotein. So these four terminologies should be there in your answer. These are chromatin, nucleosome, solenoid, and chromosome. These four terminologies should be there in your answer when you are elaborating organization of DNA. First of all, the association of eukaryotic DNA with histone is called chromatin. Now, this around when the histone forms an octamer, to around this octamer DNA binds itself. It's called nucleosome. Now, for the further shortening of the DNA, further packaging, compact packaging of the DNA, what does DNA do is, again, orderly arrangement of the DNA will be there, in which 6 nucleosomes per turn will be there. And this particular entity is called solenoid. So this is the diagrammatic representation of nucleosome, and this is about solenoid. And then chromosome is there because in when solenoid are further folded into supercoiled loops. These are nothing but chromosome. So in this way, you should write this diagrammatic representation is also expected from you when you are writing a long answer on organization of DNA. And then in the last lecture, we have seen something about the junk DNA. I already explained that 10% of DNA is only active, rest 90%, or so to say more than 90% is transcriptionally inactive. That means you cannot have any any production of RNA or new production of protein by that part of the DNA. This particular portion, which is associated with nucleosome but is not digested by nucleases, is called as junk DNA, which is it is inactive. It is inactive. And the role of junk DNA, remember this thing, even though these roles are given to you and they are given in the books also, but the 100% surety that these are the things which are done by junk DNA is not 100% sure. Scientists are not yet 100% sure about this. Still, studies are going on to find out the definitive role of this junk DNA, but it is seen that this junk DNA do play a major role in evolution. So evolutionary, the genetic basis of evolution is explained by means of this junk DNA. It is capable of repairing broken strands of the DNA. It provides a reservoir of sequences. It may play a role in regulation of gene expression and may act as a protective buffer against mutations. Now coming to the intron, exons, and cistron. Now remember, these terminologies are there, or these things will be used for the this further part of the lecture, that is replication. But here just remember, at that particular moment, I will not explain the things again. So that's why I've given the definitions of interons and exons. These are required in the with some references there in the replication lecture for these introns and exons. So remember this thing, the introns are the stretches of DNA which are silent areas. Silent areas means what? These segments of DNA gene coding for proteins are called exons, and introns are those which are silent areas. These particular things are not translated, so they are called as enterons, while exons are translated to produce proteins. The segments of gene coding for proteins are called exons, and those which are silent stretches of DNA which are not translated, they are called as enterons. Now remember this thing, primary transcript, mRNA which is generated, or so that matter tRNA, rRNA, whatever primary transcript is there, after generation of primary transcript, certain post-transcriptional changes should be there with those entities so that they becomes active. So whenever post-translation transcriptional changes after transcription is what? Transcription is synthesis of RNAs from DNA. So when different types of RNAs are generated, say it's mRNA, tRNA or RNA, after generation of these RNAs, they are that way inactive because they do have enterons in them. And some primary, these are called as primary transcripts, and some post-transcriptional changes should occur in those RNAs so that they becomes active and mature. So this is the intron which has to be removed from this, so that whatever primary transcript is there, that is the exon, which is the genes on which can be translated. And the last point that you should write about, write in the organization of DNA is about the active DNA. 10%, 90% is junk DNA, 10% is active DNA, which is transcriptionally active, and it is sensitive to the action of nucleases. Now here again, this is a very important thing that you should include in your answer when you are writing a long question. This point is important for Cabin Viva point of view also. This is asked routinely in the Cabin Viva, that is explain or what are the genetical types of DNA. So genetical types of DNA, this is very important entity. Actually what happens is, these things you know well. It is not that it is not saying that you are not knowing that autosomal DNA are there, mitochondrial DNA is also there, and other DNA also there. But still, when the question is asked like this, no, genetical types of DNA, students are little bit confused. These things you know very well. You have three types of genetical DNA. One is autosomal DNA, second is mitochondrial DNA, and third is X and Y chromosomal DNA. So autosomal DNA, it makes up 22 out of 23 pairs of chromosome, and it is important in finding out person's ancestry and parentage. So this particular two important role which are played by the autosomal DNA. It is helpful in finding out person's ancestry and parentage. Second type of DNA, genetical DNA, is mitochondrial DNA. This mitochondrial DNA, as you all know, it is transmitted from mother, or you can say from maternal line. So it is used to do the maternity test. To find out biological mother, this particular mitochondrial DNA is utilized. And the X and Y chromosome DNA that determines the sex of a child. XX is present in female, XY is present in male. So this is also called as allosomal pair. Remember this thing. I think this thing is covered in 11th, 12th only. MCQs are also there on this allosomal pair of DNA. So you know it, but when the question is asked, that is what are the genetical type of DNA, answer should be three: autosomal, then mitochondrial, and then allosomal or XY chromosomal DNA. So this is about the different types of DNA. Now, thus we have completed with the structure and function of DNA. Now coming to the RNA structure and function. This RNA is located in cytoplasm. It is synthesized as primary transcript from template strand, and it is then processed by post-transcriptional modification to produce mRNA. So we are dealing with the mRNA. what is the role of mRNA? It transfers the genetic information from gene of DNA to protein synthesizing machinery in ribosome. So in ribosome, you have a set of certain active components or certain substances which are helpful in synthesizing protein. So they have labeled this all components as protein synthesizing machinery. They are present in ribosome, and this genetic information from DNA is transferred to this ribosome. mRNA is messenger RNA. It carries a message in the form of genetic information from DNA to the ribosomes where proteins are getting synthesized. At 5' end, you have methyl guanosine cap, and at 3' end, you have poly-A tail. This is the thing that you should know. Coming to the tRNA, it transfers the information carried by mRNA into specific sequences in amino acids. So amino acids means what? Sequence of amino acid is determined by tRNA. It transfers the amino acids to the protein synthesizing machinery present on the ribosome. So whatever information is there on the mRNA is read by transfer RNA, and accordingly the amino acids will be transferred to the protein synthesizing machinery in the ribosomes where rRNA is produced, is present, and the sequence of amino acids is determined by no doubt by the nucleotide sequence present on the mRNA, but this tRNA is helpful in maintaining that particular sequence of amino acids. Now this is the structure of this tRNA, where you have clover leaf-like structure of tRNA, where you have acceptor R, you have DR, you have anticodon R, you have variable R, you have tRNA. So different types of different structures are there in the tRNA. Here, please remember, again, this is a 3' 5' type of thing strand, where anticodon arm is that way very important, which is attached to the particular nucleotide sequence on the mRNA, and accordingly to the 3' end, where ACC sequence is there, acceptor arm is there. To this, the amino acids come and bind, so that this amino acid will be transferred to the ribosomes, and then you have the protein synthesizing over there. The next, third RNA, that is rRNA. This is a nucleoprotein present on the ribosomes. mRNA interact with the tRNA, translating into the specific proteins, and these rRNA are present on the ribosomes. One more entity that you should mention when you are writing a structure and function of RNA. See, the structure function of RNA separately can be asked as a short note, or this can be a sub-question to the DNA structure and function. So in that you should include RNA as enzyme, that is ribozymes. You already know that ribozymes are there. So this is particularly asked in the enzyme theory viva, where they ask you tell me the name of enzymes which are not protein in nature. So the answer should be ribosome. So ribosomes are those enzymes which are not protein in nature. Otherwise, almost all enzymes are protein in nature. So example, students don't know the example of ribozymes or ribosome. So these ribozymes example are ribonuclease P and peptidyl transferase. Remember this thing. These are the ribozymes. These ribozymes are the they are RNA in nature. So these enzymes, they are not protein in nature, but they are RNA in nature. So remember this thing. In the short note, if it is there, you should mention about ribozymes also. Now coming to in short about the cell cycle. This cell cycle, I think this topic will be covered in detail, or you must have learned this in anatomy. Cell cycle, you have different phases of cell cycle and all those things, and each phase is important for this before cell division, after cell division, and in which phase you have transcription, translation. So here in the genetics, it is important to know different phases of cell cycle, because in a specific phase only the process of replication, transcription, translation will occur. And when all these things are occurring, that you should know. You can have a short note on cell cycle. Long question is not expected in biochemistry. In anatomy, they may ask you as a sub question to the long question, or it can be a long question that I cannot tell you here. But cell cycle, in biochemistry point of view, it is asked as a short note. It can be asked as a short note. So whenever cell division is occurring in the eukaryotic cells, no, it occurs in four different phases, and these phases are called as it is called as cell cycle. So eukaryotic cell division occurs in four distinct phases, which are collectively called the cell cycle. Now in human cell, the replication of DNA. So next topic is replication. That's why I am telling you about the cell cycle. So replication of DNA genome always occur in the S phase of the cell cycle. Remember this thing occurs in the S phase of the cell cycle. Now this is a outline of the cell cycle, starting from the, we will start with the S phase. Here in the S phase you have synthesis of DNA, that is replication of DNA will occur over here, and the RNA and proteins are also synthesized, which is being major. This RNA and protein synthesis, this particular thing occurs in G1 phase. Remember this thing, and this synthesis of this RNA and protein synthesis, both the things continues in the S phase. So in G1 phase, there is no DNA synthesis, no replication is there. In G1 phase, you have transcription and translation. These two things are continued in the S phase also, but in the S phase, you have replication. So this you should know. And this G2 phase, where replication is not there, but still RNA and protein synthesis continues. And in M phase, that is mitosis or mitotic phase, where mitosis will occur, nuclear division will be there, and you have two daughter cells. Remember this thing. So in G1 phase, you have RNA and protein biosynthesis. That is, RNA synthesis is transcription and protein biosynthesis is translation. So both the things are occurring in the G1 phase. Then cell lands up into S phase, where there is a replication. In G2 phase and S phase, in both the phases, you have RNA and protein synthesis, which is continuously going on. And in M phase, the cell nuclear division will occur, mitosis will be there, and the cell will break down to produce two daughter cells. Now, after the M phase, when the cell enters in the G1 phase, there is a phase called as G0 phase. One phase is also there, G0 phase, where some of the cells will withdraw from the cell cycles indefinitely and will go into the G0 phase, or re-entry. This can be a re-entry point for those cells which want to return from G0 to enter in the early phase of G1. So this thing you should know something about the G0 phase also. So all these things are there. So some points that you should note about the different phases. G1 phase is the first phase of the cycle, and it is preparative phase in which you have three things done. One is enzymes which are necessary for replication, they are produced, genomic DNA reliability is checked, and the building materials were required in mitosis begin to accumulate. So this is the G1 phase, where enzymes necessary to replicate the genomes are produced. Remember this thing. S phase, second phase, in which biosynthesis of new DNA is carried out, and this DNA is replicated to produce copies of both daughter DNA. Here, this S phase is important, and we are dealing with the replication. And remember this thing, replication occurs in S phase. Then is the G2, which is a gap phase, again second gap phase, and here this is the third phase of the cell cycle in which cell prepare to divide. Because in M phase, actual division is there, and here the preparation of the cell for division is going on, synthesizing new proteins, tubulin for construction of microtubules of spindle apparatus. You know, spindle apparatus required for the nuclear division, and this preparation of this nuclear division is done in the G2 phase, that is second gap phase. And in the M phase, you have mitosis and you have division. And here maternal nuclear envelope breaks down and paired chromosomes are pulled to opposite poles of the cell. Each set of daughter chromosome is surrounded by newly formed nuclear envelope, and cytokines pinches the cell in half and produces two daughters. So in short, you can say that in the M phase, you have nuclear division and the cell divides into two daughter cells. This occurs in the M phase. So this is about the cell cycle. So we have studied DNA structure, RNA structure. We have studied the functions of these nucleic acids, we have seen the organization of the DNA and the structural organization of DNA in detail. These things can be asked as a long question, or it can be as a short one also. Now coming to the important topic, that is replication. Before entering into replication, you should know central dogma of molecular biology. So this central dogma of molecular biology includes three main processes. One is replication, second is transcription, third is translation. Now remember, this is again a this Viva question, theory Viva question. Explain what do you mean by central dogma of molecular biology. So this particular thing you should be able to explain. This includes three processes: replication, transcription, and translation. So there in the Viva, define what is replication, that is production of new DNA, transcription, that is production of RNA, and translation, production of protein. So in this way you can explain, or you should explain when a Viva question is there, and this is a diagrammatic representation of the central dogma of molecular biology, where you have replication, transcription, translation. In the replication, new DNA is generated, transcription, RNA is generated, and translation, protein biosynthesis is there. This is again a Viva question, the different ways of transmission of genetic information from DNA. So what all different ways genetic information present in the DNA can be transmitted. And this is transmitted, so students only know replication, but they should also know other ways by which genetic information from DNA can be transmitted. So one is replication, second is crossing over, third is recombination, fourth is transposition, and fifth is conversion. Remember one thing, details of the rest of the four processes is not expected from the people. Nobody will ask you details of these things, but at least you should know the names of those other ways by which genetic information can be transferred from the this transmission of this occurs from the DNA. So replication, crossing over, recombination, transposition, and conversion. These are the 5 ways by which genetic information can be transmitted from DNA. Now, coming to the replication as such, there are certain features of replication. It is highly ordered and complex process. It always follow 5' to 3' polarity. It involves n number of enzymes and proteins. In eukaryotes, it proceeds in both the directions simultaneously, begins at multiple sites, while in prokaryotes, single site of origin is present. So this is very important difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic replication. In eukaryote, the replication starts in both directions simultaneously and begins at multiple sites, while in prokaryotes, single site of origin is present. The reason I will tell you later on, and how this particular thing occurs, diagrammatic representation of this also I will tell you the subsequent parts of the lecture. Now, why you need to have replication? This replication is necessary because this is helpful in provision of genetic information to progeny possessed by the parent. So whatever genetic information is possessed or it is there with the parent, it is provided to the progeny with the help of replication. And second important function that replication play is maintenance of genetic stability within organisms and species. So these two functions are there. So this is again a Kevin Baya question. You know replication well, but if the functions of replications are asked, what is the need of having replication? This, if it is asked, no, students are not able to answer it properly. So be specific in your answer when you are there in the Kevin Viva. The first is provision of genetic information to progeny possessed by parent, and second is maintenance of genetic stability within organisms and species. So these two important functions are there for the replication as such. A few fundamental rules are there which replication follow. These are very important rules, and first is each strand act as a template. So DNA is a double-stranded structure. Each DNA strand can act as a template for the synthesis of new DNA strand. It is a semi-conservative process, starts at origin and usually proceeds bidirectionally. primer is needed. This is very important thing. You need primer for replication, and it proceeds always in 3 dash 5 dash to 3 dash direction. So this structure, I will not go into detail of this, and this each strand will act as a template. This is shown by this particular diagram. Here, the if you consider the this diagram, old and new strands are there. So old strand is maintained or conserved, on which the new strand will be generated with the help of the replication machinery, so that the old strand or one strand which is acting as a template is conserved. So it is a semi-conservative. So whenever two DNAs are generated in the in the DNA, each DNA, you have a new strand and you have an old strand. Old strand is the one which is there from the original parent DNA, and this two daughter DNA, the one of the strand is a newly synthesized strand. This you should know. This is again a thing which can be explained by the diagram, semi-conservative. So DNA strand is there. Replication, second diagram, replication 4 is generated by separation of these two strands. Each strand acts as a template, and on both the strand, new strand will be generated. So you have a replicated daughter molecules with one old and one new strand. Now coming to something about the primer which is needed for replication, it is always remember this is a stretch of 50 to 100 nucleotides. Then it is paired with one of the with one strand that which acts as a template. It provides free 3' end on which new deoxynucleotide will go and bind. So on the 3' end of the primer, new nucleotide is going to bound, so that new DNA strand will be generated. Remember this thing. It is formed by an enzyme called as primase, and once the replication is over, this primer will be removed. This primer will be removed, and the gap will be filled by DNA polymerase and DNA ligase. So this is a MCQ question, and this is a Cabin Viva question. The gap created by removal of primer is filled by DNA polymerase and DNA ligase. Both the things are required. Remember this thing. So this DNA ligase and DNA polymerase are there. How these two enzymes are utilized, where exactly polymerase acts and where exactly ligase acts, that I will tell you later on. But remember this in this gap created by removal of primer is filled in by these two enzymes. So this replication proceeds second, the feature that is this proceeds in 3' 5' to 3' direction. This I have already explained. New strand always is synthesized in 5' to 3' direction, and template is read at 3' to 5. So whenever these two strands of DNA are there, both are running in anti-parallel way. One do have a 5' to 3' these two ends, and another is in 3' to 5' direction. These two strands are there. Both the strands are acting as template. When they are separated, so the new strand which is generated, it is always generated in 5' to 3' direction, while the DNA template is read at 3' to 5' direction. Always remember this thing. Now, whenever the synthesis of these two new strands are going on the two templates, so each one strand is synthesized in a continuous manner called as a leading strand. So what we are dealing with? We are dealing with the DNA which is which with the two strands. These two strands are separated now, and once these two strands are separated, each strand acts as a template, and on each strand new strand is getting synthesized for the daughter DNA. Now this synthesis of the new strand is in a continuous manner at one side, and on the other side it is in the discontinuous manner. When it is synthesized in a continuous manner, it is called as a leading strand, and when it is there in the discontinuous manner, it is called as a lagging strand. So this particular thing can be explained well with the help of this diagram. So two strands, one running in the 5' to 3' direction, other strand running in the 3' to 5' direction. At the fork, whenever the replication fork is generated by separation of two strands, new strand is getting synthesized always in 5' to 3' direction. So leading strand is one where continuous synthesis of DNA strand is there. You can appreciate that green mark is of primer. The red arrow moving towards the fork, mouth of the fork. This fork is called as a leading strand. It is generated continuously. As against to this, on the other strand, which acts as a template, you have discontinuous synthesis of newly generated strand. So this discontinuous manner, when it is there, no, it is called as a lagging strand. And if you see carefully again on this strand, you have short segments of or short fragments of a new DNA strand with the green primer and red arrow. The small stretches you can appreciate, and these are called as Okazaki fragments, and they are produced in a discontinuous manner because the strand template strand is read at 3' to 5' direction, and the new strand is always generated in 5' to 3' manner. So if you see carefully, the green primer is at 5' end, in Okazaki fragment also, and the last one is a 3' end. So like this, 5' to 3' direction, the things are getting synthesized. What all things are required for replication? You need substrates such as deoxy ATP, deoxy DTP, deoxy CTP, and deoxy GTP. So these are the substrates which are needed for replication. Again, a MCQ question. You need template strand of the DNA. You need primer. For the prokaryotes, the primer it is approximately 50 nucleotides, and in eukaryotes it is 9 nucleotides. This is the difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic evolution. Then you have different enzymes. You need different enzymes. In prokaryotes, you need 3 types of enzymes: DNA polymerase 1, 2, and 3. Now, in the books, directly they have given the process of replication, all those things. But here, I would like to explain the polymerase 1, 2, and 3 in 2 to 3 lines. DNA polymerase 1. This is the enzyme which have low processivity. What do you mean by processivity? Low processivity is only 20 to 20 or slightly more things will be added. So the processivity can be defined. So what is it? It is the average number of nucleotides added to newly synthesizing DNA strand before polymerase dissociates. So the capacity of DNA polymerase 1 to add the nucleotides to the newly synthesizing DNA strand is 20 or slightly more. This is a low processivity. It do have exonuclease activity, it do have proofreading activity. So exonuclease capacity or exonuclease activity is the activity or this is a property shown by DNA polymerase 1, 2, and 3. Almost both the thing, 3 of them do have this property. And exonuclease capacity means they do have capacity to repair or to remove the unwanted nucleotide which is being added. So this DNA polymerase 1 can read the abnormality or in the sequence of one nucleotide in 3' to 5' direction. And proofreading is the capacity to check whether the nucleotide which is added is correct or wrong. So this is checked by this same enzyme, removed by the same enzyme. This DNA polymerase 1. If it is wrong, the exonuclease activity will remove that particular thing. And this DNA polymerase 1 do have the capacity of gap filling between the Okazaki fragments and on the lagging strand. This DNA polymerase 1 fills the gap created by removal of primer, while ligase will fill the gap between Okazaki fragments. Remember this thing. If you see this diagram, here you have 2 Okazaki fragments. Once the primer is removed, you have a gap over there where the primer is removed. This gap is filled in by polymerase 1. As against to this, in between these 2 fragments, you have again a slight gap is there. Can you appreciate that gap? This gap will be filled by DNA ligase. So this is a Kevin Viva question. What is the role of DNA ligase and what is the role of DNA polymerase 1? So DNA polymerase 1 will remove the gap once the primer is removed, and ligase will remove the gap or fill the gap between the 2 Okazaki fragments. This difference you should know. This we will be asking in the cabin viva. DNA polymerase 1 fills the gap created by removal of primer, while DNA ligase fills the gap between Okazaki fragments. Now, polymerase 2, again, it do have proofreading capacity. It is helpful in DNA repair. Exonuclease capacity is not seen with DNA polymerase 2, and this is with high processivity. That is, more than 10,000 nucleotides can be added at a time with the help of this particular polymerase 2 when the this newly synthesizing DNA strand is going on. Then DNA polymerase 3. This is the primary replicating enzyme. Remember, this is the primary replicating enzyme with the capacity of adding more than 50,000 nucleotides when the process of replication is going on. And the synthesis of both leading as well as lagging strand is done with the polymerase 3. And it do not show any exonuclease activity in 5' to 3' direction. So this is about the prokaryotic enzymes which are needed. So when you study this replication in the eukaryotes, you have another set of enzymes which are required. In the prokaryotes, you have DNA polymerase 1, 2, 3, while in eukaryotes, you have DNA polymerase delta, where the high processivity is there, and this delta is required for synthesis of leading strand. Again, it show proofreading capacity. Alpha is required for synthesis of lagging strand, and it do have exonuclease capacity. Then you have DNA polymerase epsilon, which is helpful basically in the repair. DNA polymerase beta helpful in the repair again, and DNA polymerase gamma is useful for mitochondrial DNA synthesis. Remember this thing. So three things you should know: delta is required for synthesis of leading strand, alpha required for synthesis of lagging strand, and gamma is required for synthesis of mitochondrial DNA. These things you should know. Now coming to the proteins which are involved in this replication. You have these many proteins, and in the examination, function of each protein will be asked to you. Example, the function of DNA, A protein, B protein, C protein, HU, that is histone-like proteins, primase, SSB protein, topoisomerase 1 and 2, DNA ligase, and TER binding protein. So functions of each protein will be asked in the cabin viva. So DNA A protein is required for denaturation of DNA. I have already explained you in the last lecture about the denaturation of DNA. Denaturation of DNA is required for replication as such. Unless and until denaturation of the DNA occurs, the strands will not be separated. And denaturation is nothing but this dissociation of these or disruption of the H bond, that is hydrogen bonds, so that these two strands will be separated at that particular site. So denaturation is done with DNA A protein, and denaturation of DNA strand at the site of origin, thus opening of the duplex DNA is done by the DNA protein. B protein cause unwinding of the DNA, and it is also called as helicase, or it is the label name given as helicase, or do have, you can say, do have helicase like activity. It unwinds the DNA. So unwinding of the DNA is done by B protein, DNA B protein. DNA C protein is required for binding of B protein to the origin site. So you have site of origin for the replication in the prokaryotes as well as in the eukaryotes. And at that particular site of origin, first of all, DNA A will go cause denaturation, B will cause unwinding of the DNA, and C is helpful in doing all these things. You have a histone-like protein which stimulates initiation of the replication. Replication is divided into three processes. So that is initiation, elongation, and termination. So this particular thing will stimulate, HU protein stimulate the initiation. Primase is required for synthesis of RNA primer. Then you have SSB protein which stabilizes the separated strands and prevents renaturation of DNA. So again, the strands will not join to each other by this with the help of this particular SSB protein. Then you have topoisomerase 1 and topoisomerase 2. These topoisomerases are required to cause relaxation of the supercoiled DNA by breaking either one strand of DNA or breaking both the strands of DNA. So when supercoiled DNA is there, no, if you want to relax these supercoils, you have to take a you have to break one of the DNA strand the coiling is released, and then again join the thing. This is done by topoisomerase 1. If both the DNA strands are broken down and again sealed, this particular thing is done by topoisomerase 2. Then you have DNA ligase. This seals this single strand nick and this lagging strand. This is required for that particular thing. This is a diagrammatic representation of how this supercoiled DNA is unwind by the topoisomerases. And here for the supercoiling, you need this topoisomerase. And TER binding protein is one which will facilitate the termination of replication, and it prevents helicase from further unwinding of DNA. So helicase is required for unwinding of DNA. Once these TER binding proteins are there in the picture, helicase activity will stop, further unwinding of the DNA will not occur, and replication will be terminated. Stages of DNA, as I have already told: initiation, elongation, and termination. In initiation, you have unwinding of the DNA, separation of the strands, and each strand will act as a template on which new DNA strand will be generated. Now, in prokaryotic cells, you have circular DNA. So unwinding form IR bubble at specific site called as ori site. So site of origin is called as ori site in prokaryotic cells, and there is a generation of bubble of replication, and this particular thing will generate into a fork, and this replication proceeds bidirectionally in both the cells. This is a diagrammatic representation in prokaryotic cells. You have site of origin called as ori site, where the replication bubble is generated with the help of all these different proteins, DNA A, B, and C. The strands start separating, unwinding, denaturation all will occur. Then with the help of helicase and the SSB protein, the strands will not reunite again. And finally, the process of replication will go in both the direction. And finally, what you will have is two daughter DNAs. In eukaryotes, as I told, multiple sites of origin are there. Replication is confined to S phase of the cell cycle, and the site of origin in eukaryotes is called as ARS site, that is autonomously replicating sequence. So this you can see in this diagram. So parent DNA molecule, multiple sites of origin for replication is there. You have multiple replication bubbles generated. In both the direction, replication will go on. And finally, you have two daughter DNA molecules. So as I already told you regarding the cell cycle, so this is a diagrammatic representation where this parent DNA double helix will be separated, unwound by the DNA ABC. Helicase is the DNA helicase is the thing which is there at the origin of the replication. Then with the help of DNA polymerase, you have generation of a new DNA strand in a continuous manner, and one strand which is called as the leading strand, and on the other side you have it in discontinuous manner called as lagging strand, and the fragments which are there, they are called as Okazaki fragments. So this is just again the same thing: initiation, where DNA A binds to ori site, DNA B causes unwinding, topoisomerases releases the stress of supercoiling, SSB stabilizes the DNA reunion, a binding of primer will be there, and then process of this replication will start in this particular manner. Elongation is nothing but addition of more and more nucleotides with the help of DNA DNA 1, 2, and 3 in case of prokaryotes, and alpha, beta, delta, epsilon, gamma by eukaryotes, so that a new strand will be generated. Due to anti-parallel nature of two strands, synthesis of two strands is different. So this is a Kebin-Mayer question. Why you have continuous synthesis of the DNA strand at one end and discontinuous synthesis of DNA strand on the other end? Your answer should be specific, or they can ask you what is the basis of producing Okazaki fragments. Why you need to produce this in the fragments? So this is due to anti-parallel nature of the two strand. This DNA at two strands, the synthesis of DNA at two strands is different. One is leading, other is lagging, but both are in the 5' to 3' direction. Remember this thing well. And termination is just TER site is there. It is the sequences, particular sequences on the chromosome, and the TUS binding of TUS protein to TER site, or you can say TUS star binding inhibits the helicase, and rest of the thing will be there, replication will be. So this thing you should write when you are writing about the replication, that is differences in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Replication in prokaryotes, cytoplasm, and occurs in cytoplasm in eukaryotes and nucleus, and the nucleus. Types of DNA. In the prokaryote, you have circular type of DNA. In eukaryotes, a linear type of DNA. Primer, RNA primer length for prokaryotes is approximately 50 nucleotides. In eukaryotes, it is 9 nucleotide. DNA polymerase, 3 different things are there. Origin single in case of pro, and in case of eukaryotes, it is multiple. And length of the nucleotides I have already given. Rate of replication in case of prokaryotes, it is approximately 500 nucleotides per second. And in the prokaryotes, it is 50 nucleotides per second. End replication problem is not seen in the prokaryotes, but it is seen in the eukaryotes. Inhibitors of replication, antibacterials, antiviral, and chemotherapy. These are the inhibitors. One video is there with me. I don't know whether this particular thing will be able to show you this video or not, because on this particular system, this is not actually okay. Now in the next lecture, we will see something about end replication problem. This end replication problem is there, and this can be asked as a short note. And this end replication problem, you should include it in the long question when you are writing about the replication as such. So we will see this, I think. What's the time? Still, I think I can continue for 5 minutes. Yes or no? Should I continue? End replication problem, this thing, this is again a problem associated with the eukaryote. So before going into details, in short, what I will tell you is that what happens is whenever the replication is going on, whenever that primer is removed, there always occurs shortening of the DNA strand. And this, no doubt, this is taken care of by different enzymes, and this primer ka gap will be filled by the various enzyme machinery which is present in the cell as such. This is true for the lagging strand. Remember this thing. This is done, this particular gap is filled by an enzyme called as telomerase. But if it is not filled, then shortening of the DNA will be there. This is called as an end replication problem. So it is nothing but shortening of DNA. What happens in the lagging strand, whenever that gap is created, once the primer is removed, this gap is filled by telomerase. If it is not filled by telomerase, then the problem will be there. And this you can appreciate with this, in this diagram with the double-stranded DNA, then DNA replication. So the circle where I have done a circle, no, there what happens is that primer will be removed, and this particular thing, gap can be created over there, and this gap will be filled in. This gap will be filled in by the telomerase. So this particular diagram is appropriate, I think. The black one is a parent DNA. This red one is a leading strand of DNA. Green is a lagging strand, and blue one is a RNA primer. So the gap which is created in the last part of the figure, what is gap is there at the terminal end. So in between gap is there, it is filled by DNA polymerase and ligase and all those things. The terminal part, at the terminal portion, what is your first primer which is there, this primer, once it is removed, no gap will be created, and this will lead to the synthesis of a short DNA strand. And if it is so, this particular problem is called as a end replication problem, and this gap is filled in by telomerase. Now, this, what are telomers? So this is a Kevin Mayer question. So question, this particular thing will be asked to you, what are telomers? Then role of telomerase will be there. So telomers are the ends of eukaryotic chromosomes, linear DNA, and these telomers, they things are not present in the prokaryote, because in the prokaryote circular DNA is there. So this difference you should know. In the prokaryote, due to circular nature of DNA, these telomers are not present. Eukaryotes, linear DNA is there, so the ends of eukaryotic chromosomes are called as linear DNA. What is the role of this telomere? Why you should have this thing? One thing is it will prevent chromosomes from fusing with each other. This is the most important thing. Chromosome will not fuse with each other if telomeres are there, and this particular thing is helpful in the end replication, solving the end replication problems. This enzyme telomerase, this is the enzyme which is protein plus RNA, and it is helpful to fill the gap created by removal of last primer. And this is helpful in the synthesis of telomeric DNA. This add telomere repeat units so at the ends, and this particular thing will be helpful in the reverse transcription also. Clinical significance of telomerase. Telomerase highly expressed in rapidly growing cells, do have role in cancer cell biology and cell aging, and telomerase inhibitors can be used as anti-cancer therapy. And the disease related to the absence of telomerase is progeria, where the short DNA is there and death of the cell due to very short DNA, you can say early aging will be there. So even if the person is of low, is of say 10 years, 15 years, 16 years, or so to say 20 years, he will be seen as old age person. Progeria, this disease is called as a progeria, and this is due to the deficiency or absence of telomerase. So up to this, so this is for today's lecture. So we have seen about the replication, we have seen the end replication problem. So this, you prepare this topic for the long question, and you should include DNA repair also in the process of replication. So I think we will stop today with this. In the next lecture, we will see a few lines about the DNA repair, and then we will shift to the next topic, that is transcription. And remember this thing, transcription, again a separate long question can be there on transcription. Okay, so thank you all of you. We will meet tomorrow again at 12 o'clock sharp. Thanks.
Ma'am.
Hello? झालंय माझं.
जाधव. जाधव.
फाइल किती
लेफ्ट झाली असतील मला.
हा?
आता निघून गेले असतील मला. ठीक आहे 16च राहिले ते मेल येते मला मी मेलवर चेक
बरं, किती आहे?